Chapter 15, Bath Time. This was no ordinary bath time. Chloe realised that this had to be run like a military operation. Hot water, check. Towels, check. Bubble bath, check. Rubber duck or similar animal-based bath toy, check. Soap. Was there enough soap in the house or in the town or even in the whole of Europe to make Mr. Stink clean? He hadn't had a bath since, well, he claimed last year, but it might as well have been since dinosaurs ruled the earth. Chloe turned on the taps, running both of them together so the temperature would be just right. If it was too hot or if it was too cold, it might scare Mr. Stink off baths forever. She poured in some bubble bath and gave it a swirl. Then she laid out some neatly folded towels, pleasing warm from the airing cupboard, on a little stool by the bath. In the cabinet, she found a multi-pack of soaps. It was all going perfectly according to plan until... "He's escaped," said Dad, poking his head around the bathroom door. "What do you mean escaped?" said Chloe. "He's not in the shed and he's not in the house and he couldn't see him in the garden. I don't know where he is." "Start the car," said Chloe. They sped off down the street. This was exciting. Dad was driving faster than usual, although still 1 mile an hour less than the usual speed limit. And Chloe sat on the front seat. She hardly ever did. All they needed was some donuts and coffee to go, and they would be 2 mishap cops in a Hollywood action movie. Chloe had a hunch that if Mr. Stink was anywhere, he would be back on the bench where she first talked to him. "Stop the car," she said as they passed the bench. "But it's a double yellow line," pleaded Dad. "I said stop the car." Dad stamped on the brake. The tyres screeched as the car stopped. They were both propelled forward a little in their seats. They smiled at each other at the excitement of it all. It was as if they were just ridden a roller coaster. Chloe sprang out of the car and slammed the door shut, something she would never dare to have done when her mother was around. But the bench was empty. Mr. Stink wasn't there. Chloe sniffed the air. There was a faint whiff of him, but she couldn't really tell if this was a recent one or the lingering odour from about a week or so ago. Dad drove around the town for another hour. Chloe checked all the places she thought her tramp friend might be. Under the bridges, in the park, in the coffee shop, behind bins, but it seemed as though he really had disappeared. Chloe felt like crying. Maybe he had left the town. He had wandered after all. "We'd better head home now, darling," said Dad softly. "Yep," said Chloe, trying to be brave. "I'll put the kettle on," said Dad as they walked indoors. In Britain, a cup of tea is the answer to all the problems. Fallen off your bicycle? Nice cup of tea. Your house has been destroyed by meteorite? Nice cup of tea and a biscuit. Your entire family had been eaten by the Tyrannosaurus Rex that had travelled through the space-time portal? Nice cup of tea and a piece of cake. Possibly a savoury option would be welcome here too. For example, a Scotch egg or a sausage roll. Chloe picked up the kettle and went to the sink to fill it. She looked out the window. Just then Mr. Stink's head popped up from the pond. He gave her a little wave. Chloe screamed. When they'd got over their shock, Chloe and Dad walked slowly towards the pond. Mr. Stink was humming the song, "Row, row, row your boat," to himself. As he sang, he rubbed a jar into himself with some water lily. A number of goldfish floated upwards down on the water's surface. "Good afternoon," said Chloe. "Good afternoon, Mr. Crumb," said Mr. Stink brightly. "I won't be too long. I don't want to get too wrinkled in here." What are you doing?" asked Dad. "The Duchess and I are having a bath, of course," as young Chloe suggested. At that moment, the Duchess appeared out of the murky depths covered in weeds. As if it wasn't enough that he was having a bath in the pond, Mr. Stink had to share it with the dog too. After a few moments, the Duchess clambered out of the pond, leaving behind a large black scum of layered floating in the water. She shook herself dry, and Chloe stared at her in surprise. It turned out she wasn't a little black dog after all, but a little white dog. There's Mr. Stink having a bath. "Mr. Crumb, sir," said Mr. Stink. "Would you mind awfully passing me the towel?" "Thank you so much. Ah, I am as clean as a whistle now." Chapter 16. Rule Britannia. Mother sniffed and sniffed again, her nose wrinkled with disgust. "Are you sure you had a bath, Mr. Stink?" she inquired, as Dad drove all the family and Mr. Stink to the television studios. "Yes, I did, madam." "Well, there's a funny smell of pond in this car, and dog," pronounced Mother from the back seat. "I think I'm going to puke," announced Annabelle in the back seat. "I've told you before, darling, we don't say puke in this family," corrected Mother. "We say we're feeling slightly nauseous." Chloe opened the window discreetly so as not to hurt Mr. Stink's feelings. "Do you mind if we keep the window closed?" said Mr. Stink. "I'm a little chilly." The window went up again. "Thank you so much, Mr. Stink. Such an imaginable kindness." They stopped at the traffic lights and Dad reached for one of the hard rock CDs. Mother slapped his hand and she put it back on the steering wheel. She then put on her favourite CD in the car stereo, and an old couple in the next car looked at Mr. Crumb's family strangely as Rule Britannia, Britannia rules the waves, came blaring out of the car. No, that won't do," said the TV producer as he studied Mr. Stink. Can we put some dirt on him? He doesn't look very trampy enough. Makeup. Where? Makeup." A lady with far too much makeup on appeared from around the corner in the corridor, scoffing a croissant and holding a powder puff. "Darling, have you got any grime?" asked the producer. "Come this way, mister," said the makeup lady. "Stink," said Mr. Stink proudly. "Mr. Stink, and I'm going to star on a television program tonight." Mother scowled. Chloe, Annabelle and Dad were led to a little room with a television, half a bottle of warm white wine and some stale crisps to watch the show being broadcast live. The thunderous title music started. There was a polite applause from the audience and the pompous-looking presenter, Sir David Squirt, addressed the camera. "Tonight on Question Time, it's an election special. We have representatives from all the major political parties and also a tramp who goes by the name of Mr. Stink. Welcome to the programme, everyone." Everyone around the table nodded, apart from Mr. Stink, who was proclaimed loudly, "May I say what a delight it is for me to be on your show tonight?" "Thank you," said the presenter uncertainly. "Being homeless, I have never seen it," said Mr. Stink. "In fact, I have absolutely no idea who you are, but I am sure you are widely famous." "Please, sir," continued Sir Donald. The audience laughed uncertainly. Mother looked displeased. The presenter coughed nervously and tried to continue. "On the first question tonight, are you wearing makeup?" Sir Declan inquired Mr. Stink innocently. "A little, yes, for the lights, of course." "Of course," said Mr. Stink. "Foundation?" "Yes, eyeliner." "A little." "Lip gloss?" "A smidge." "Look nice. I wish I had some blusher on as well." The audience chuckled throughout this exchange. Sir David moved on rapidly. "I should explain that Mr. Stink is here tonight as he was invited to live with Mrs. Crumb." "Croom," corrected Mother. "Oh," said Sir David, "I do apologise. We checked the pronunciation with your husband and he said it was Crumb." Mother went red with embarrassment. Sir David turned his attention back to his notes. "Later on in the programme," he said, "we will be discussing the difficult problem of hopelessness." Mr. Stink put his hand up. "Yes, Mr. Stink," asked the presenter. "May I just pop to the lavatory?" said Duncan. The audience laughed louder this time. "I should have gone before we started, but I asked the makeup lady to do my hair and it took forever. Don't get me wrong, I'm thrilled with the results. She gave me a wash and blow dry. They didn't even put something called gel in it, and I didn't get a chance to go to the little boys' room." "Of course, if you need to go, go." "Thank you so much," said Mr. Stink. He rose to his feet and started to potter off the set. "I shouldn't be too long. I think I just got a number 1. The audience howled again with laughter. In the little room, the stale crisp and with the television, Chloe and Dad were laughing too. Chloe looked at Annabel. She was trying not to laugh, but a smile was definitely creeping up her face. "My apologies," exclaimed Mr. Stink as he crossed the stage again in the opposite direction. "I am told the lavatory is this way."